Is Laura not there? No. Okay.
That's probably worse.
Right. Well, we wanna live in.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, it's 1:36.
That's, well, until they get here, we can start, I guess.
Yeah, just to kind of go over what our agenda is for today, knowing that there are only 2 out of 4 of us here for the meeting. We need to put some structure around our committee policies and procedures. We don't have currently structure around meeting a quorum. But I also don't feel great about moving forward with making any decisions with only 2 of 6 of us here. However, today is the day that we had scheduled to go live with the application. And I want to push forward with that so that we can get things going. Just keeping in mind that the application that the Moss Center, thankfully, they will be jumping in soon to be part of our conversation, was able to help us create the form to go onto the county website. That was the one exactly approved by the county commissioners.
Okay.
So nothing there has changed. We haven't made any decisions other than asking the center to convert the form to an actual form so it can be fillable and submitted. So it looks like we have everything to go, and I will send that link over to the administrative assistant to get online. It includes links that go to the full application description, so that you can see the entirety of it and download it for those people who want to have a copy to do fillable before you actually fill in the form. Okay, Mackenzie is here. Would you let Mackenzie David in?
Yeah.
And that way you can see the entirety of it, as well as a link to the exhibit E. So what the opioid settlement money is allowed to be used for according to the state agreement. So those things all being said, that will be live today with Marion this time. We'll make sure that that gets out. And then next week, we're going to have a webinar to review the application with any interested applicants, just to kind of go over all of that information. And also allow people to ask questions. That will be a recorded session, just like this one is, so that people can go back and review it. But I would like to talk with the rest of the group as well about making sure that any questions that get asked during that webinar on the 8th, as well as any that come into Wendy Dana, who's kind of the point person at the county for questions and assistance with filling out the application, ensuring all questions or other information that needs to be included is put on the website page, so that there are people who have more or better information than others just because they attended something or didn't attend something, if that makes sense. Okay, does that sound good to you, Matt?
Yeah, so what you're gonna do is you'll have the webinar. After the webinar will be recorded and posted. And then in between, if there's any questions, we continually update and have a page of questions and responses on that webpage so that it's fair and equitable to anyone.
To any applicant, no
Yeah.
matter whether you had emailed Wendy Dana or emailed to have a assistant, everybody will have the same answers. Hi, Mackenzie.
I do have a question. I don't know whether this is the time to ask, but are we putting out any public notice on this? Or contacting the Bangor Daily. To share with people that this is going live.
Yeah, it would have been great to have Wendy here too, or Scott, and I understand why they're otherwise occupied, but knowing how they shared out about the ARPA application going live in much of the same way, so obviously I hope that I don't administer the Facebook page for the county, but use the Facebook page and contact the media. And maybe do like a splash on the county commissioner's website. I don't know if that's a possibility too, but hey, if you're looking for this, here's where you go. I know people are anxiously awaiting the ability to apply. So we're not making it a secret, just making sure that we get it out there, and people do have, organizations do have until November 15th. So it's, they've got, what, 6 weeks or so to review it and submit it.
And application deadlines are,
So we had set the application deadline for November 15th. So I'm gonna back us up just a second.
Yep.
Did you have a chance to review the meeting minutes from September 8th?
I did.
Okay, they looked pretty good to me, and I didn't hear any response back from anybody else when there was feedback requested. So we'll post those as they are on the county Facebook page or the county webpage for the opioid committee. And I did receive some information back from the county administrator on the, like, an update on funds received and spent. And I think I need more clarification on exactly what those numbers mean, because what I asked for is not what I thought, or what I thought I was asking for is not what I got. So I'll be better about communicating that, and we'll get an updated number and where we've already spent money out to for our next meeting. Okay, so Okay, hi.
Lindsay.
You're
We-
back.
Oh, we do, we have the
No,
public
that's
ice
me.
day, we have St. Patrick's.
That was me.
Yeah, oh, okay,
I was trying to get in from the other side.
and we have Laura in here, so. here we go.
Okay. All right. Mackenzie, where did we lose you?
You were talking about getting some numbers confused, like the way you asked for some numbers was
Oh,
where I
yeah,
started
okay.
to lose you.
So, yeah, I was just trying to get some updated numbers. I did ask for them, but I think I didn't ask for them in a way that I got what I thought I was asking for. So
I
I'm
hear
gonna go
you.
back, try that again. Yeah, so wanting to talk a little bit more about our looking at impact reporting and how that's being done across the state and how other bodies who received funding have kind of decided on a baseline of what it is that they want to keep track of and how they're able to do that, just so that we're better able to, you know, talk with our future awardees and how we want to receive information back.
So legally required, I think we shared that PDF with the outline. Can you guys hear me? I'll wait a second.
It's just quiet in the room.
Okay. I think we sent over that PDF of what is legally required, that it is just the project name, description, and amount spent. A lot of other subdivisions are choosing to do either a quarterly or biannual reporting, progress report, and then like an end of year if they're doing like an end of project reporting as well. I think I shared our reporting template with you. I have it ready to pull up on the screen right now that I can share.
Yeah, please do.
This is more set up to be like that end of year report. But subdivisions have used this and simplified it down to be a quarterly or biannual report that goes inside their annual report very well. Basic information. I see there's a required question here.
So Mackenzie, a quick question I have is, where these are 1-year grants, we're only proposing a 1-year grant.
Mm-hmm.
Would you suggest like a 6-month review and then a final review?
Yeah.
I'm only thinking of that you would like to know at least 6 months in, if they haven't started yet or something is happening, what is it that's going on? And do usually those sort of look similar?
Mm-hmm.
The 6-month report and year end?
These are more, let me go back one page that these are just, maybe you don't have your budget and timeline included in your 6-month report, but you can say like, how are things going? What's not going well? Any areas of support that we can provide? Move on from there, that it can be a simpler form.
Yeah.
Because this does get, I'm in the admin side now, so it's not as pretty, but any significant changes to anything? What have we learned?
Perfect.
What's going well? What's not? Is your spending still going as according to plan?
Yeah, this is gonna be a great and helpful template for sure for our boardies to be filling out and giving us back some information. And we did set it in our application information that we're doing 6 months
in a year.
1 year reporting, mostly because quarterly reporting on the lowest tier, which is less than $10,000, is it's too much. Like that's superfluous.
For sure.
I think also the question in my mind is looking through the Moss Center materials and resources, it seems as though some other municipalities or other entities who got money were looking at kind of what across our space is the highest level of need and having a baseline. So if you are looking at reducing the number of overdoses, or if you're looking at the number of people enrolled in a recovery residence, or the number of treatment providers able to provide X, Y, or Z thing. I guess my question is just kind of around that and looking at I would love to have set, what is it that we as a county are looking at improving overall, so that we know when we're getting the feedback from our awardees that, yeah, they met their goals, which is great, and that we want to know that, but how is that overall having an impact on the county's needs?
So we are, and this is not the full answer, but a tool we are working on developing as well is the Substance Use Vulnerability Index. That we're working with a bunch of other data stewards, because the other thing is like we're working with opioid settlement funds. We don't know if this one opioid settlement fund project is the reason overdoses are reduced. That's not a easily tangible data point to prove. So we are developing that vulnerability index. We're working with a lot of different data stewards to look at substance use burdens, resources, and then social vulnerability index pieces. And we're going to be putting out that index yearly to provide yearly.
Yearly, okay.
Yes. That we're going to evaluate all of those numbers, and it's things like overdoses, it is things like housing burdens, it is certified recovery homes in the space, I can share the list if you would like. We're still developing it to finalize what is going to be includable because of privacy issues with data sharing. Small cell sizes in Maine tend to be a common run-in. So we're still finalizing what data points are going to be in that index, but that is another point that we are using to help do that for you guys.
That will certainly be helpful for sure.
Because this evaluation that we're doing or reporting, I'm hearing right, should help the commissioners be able to report their needs. So there has to make sure that we're asking questions that helps them be able to complete their year end.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I believe, Mackenzie, that this reporting tool that you shared with us, that we're gonna ask our awardees to fill out, that speaks directly to the reporting that the county will have to do back to the state.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And the state reporting, let me pull this down a little bit. Can you see that I switched my screen?
Yes.
Okay, gorgeous. The reporting that's going to come from them is kind of more about how things came to be. This is what's required. This is it. You have fulfilled LD 110. You may submit. You're good to go. We are asking about all of these other supplemental questions, and then we're also going to ask about retrospective spending decisions, but that is also not it's not required.
Yeah. So as we move through this current process, looking at those supplemental questions, I think those are spaces that we could do a bit more robust investigation, particularly around the information gathering space, and making sure that we are prioritizing specifically what is the need in the county.
And these questions are you tracking funds? What are you doing? not please report the specific measures you are asking your grantees to track.
They are opportunities to discover where growth can happen.
Yes. And it is meant to be like doable and accessible and high level. We are not hoping to make an extreme burden on you guys.
So, right, so the sort of reporting back to the state is not supposed to be a big lift. Because we're not asking our awardees to do a big lift in reporting back either, so.
No.
Okay, is there anything else we should be keeping in mind as we are ready to launch our application? I know that we're gonna have a conversation, at least start a conversation today that we're not gonna be able to make any decisions on because there's only 2 out of the 6 of us here, but we did want to at least start to have a conversation in that way. At least maybe some of the public, if they needed to weigh in on it, they could email us and let us know too. But determining how we're gonna go through our evaluation process of the grant applications that come in. We do have a conflict of interest policy that we establish, but we've got to kind of lay out specifically and who's got conflicts of interest with what, and make sure that we have a set number of reviewers that is consistent for every single application, knowing that it's not going to be 6 for every single application because each of us has a conflict of interest at least. So some of us more than others.
It's Maine.
I was gonna say, and that's something I think a lot of subdivisions, it takes, and it's Maine. I think you hit the nail on the head that I think there's a little bit of grace that needs to be given because of where we live and how everything is set up. And if you could not apply as somebody on the council in your community, then your entire community is not going to get any funds because there's a lot of people helping out. So I would say what I've experienced with other counties is other subdivisions, they don't score their own applications, obviously. And then if there is a strong connection that there's like, hi, I personally do not feel comfortable scoring this application, you can label those, and then to keep the numbers even, randomly assign applications. If you get a ton of applications, people have discussed they didn't go down this route because it's hard to do if you have 10 applications and 4 scorers, it's hard to break those out into pillars. But if you had like an abundance, you could organize people by pillars and say if you work in a harm reduction space, you're not going to score a harm reduction application. But I think that depends on the size of your application pool.
Just so I know, have other, I think I already know the answer to this question, but I want to have it confirmed out loud by people who do this. Do the teams that do the reviewing wait until the application is closed and then start like divvy it up and start deciding, or do you score as you go, knowing obviously there are specific conflicts of interest where each of us is not going to be able to score something?
See, wait for the application period to close. And I know you guys said you might all be scoring, so things might we'll just limit back-end access data for you guys until, I think you're the only one with access right now, Jamie, to the grant application. Then everybody can see what the pool is. You can say, here are the applications. We can pick which ones we're scoring before we even read them. Establish the conflicts of interest because people should be able to know that by the name of the project and the organization.
Right. Yeah.
And go from
Okay.
there. Yeah.
So it sounds like, we'll just wait until the
application's closed.
And that way we have the full list and then we can kind of divvy it up because we know who is not going to be able to score what applications that have come in. Okay.
Yeah, we can just have a list of the agency, and you probably should have a list of the agency who is lead from that agency and what they're asking for. Only I'm saying that is because sometimes I may know you, but I didn't realize you worked for agency A.
Right.
And so it's good to know who the contact is for the agency in regard to this grant, as well as the name. So just do a simple spreadsheet, people can look it over and say where their conflicts are.
And also for larger agencies, if you like, for instance, if you work for Northern Light and it has nothing to do with your part of Northern
Correct.
State,
Yeah.
then that's not a conflict. Because there is no way that you're gonna be benefiting in any shape or form.
If I'm a unit clerk
Yeah.
and the neonatal unit applied for grant,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah, so. Again, we're gonna try and make some common sense decisions about this, but also we wanna be sure that we're.
Oh, yeah.
We understand that this is a small town.
And I think part of that is taking good notes and recording that that's what you did.
Right.
That we were good stewards
Right.
from looking at conflict of interest.
And ultimately too, it's not our decision, we're only making recommendations to the county commissioner.
Correct.
So it's up to them and we're gonna, every single piece of the rubric that we will be filling out as scores, there are comment sections for each one. So when we make our recommendations to the commissioners, all of that will be given to them so that they can do their own analysis of what we did in order to reach that decision. Okay. I guess because they also, while you're here, Pat and I were talking before that got recorded, but we'll say it all again. That we're going to be doing our webinar to review the application next Wednesday afternoon. So I'll be kind of going over that and looking at, you know, obviously, here's the application, let's go through it, kind of understanding some of the fundamentals and reviewing Exhibit E a bit of what can and can't be funded, just because I know there's a lot of confusion in the general public of how these funds can and can't be used. So going over that, looking at the narrative and goals areas, the budget, yada, yada, submission checklist, in order to be as transparent as possible with the public. Obviously, that is something that you'll be able to register for on the county commissioner's website. To attend the webinar, it will be recorded and put on YouTube, probably live, like we're doing this. And then from that, an FAQ will be generated so people can kind of like read through some of the questions and answers. And they don't have to watch the full recording. Are other entities also doing a similar thing, as well as it was brought up to me that if we are offering extra assistance to people, contact Wendy Dana when she's back from her vacation, because she's the grant writer for the county. Any interactions that she has, either with email or if people want to come in and ask her questions or get assistance with the application, that all of that information that is given to people is also in that FAQ. So there is no like, nobody has more better information than anyone else. Everybody is equitable. Is that standard practice or?
That is more than I have seen so far. It is similar to what we will be doing for our annual report. But subdivision grant applications, no. But I think it's awesome.
Cool.
You're being thorough and you're being supportive. It was
Right.
more of, I was getting forwarded emails about like Google form related questions from subdivisions because they didn't do like a live prepared thing, a webinar. And they just said, if you have a question, shoot us an email.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's on there too. I just know that even from the start when we were talking, we know that there are going to be organizations and agencies that don't have a full-time grant writer who are we want them to be as successful as possible. And I would hate for whatever reason us marking down or scoring someone lower because they didn't complete a section or it wasn't clear what it was needed for X, Y, or Z question to be answered. So giving as much possible help to anybody that needs it in order to complete an application well. So we are really scoring content and looking at what it is that they're proposing to use money for, rather than getting lost in the weeds of I can't grade, I can't score this because I don't understand what it is that they're doing.
Yep. There's also the issue of technical assistant to some of the smaller agencies and trying to, I know that when the Recovery Council did theirs, you know, there was some technical assistance that we had to give people, as well as we didn't realize, we said the deadline was such and such a date at midnight. And literally midnight really didn't mean midnight on the software. It meant like a minute before midnight, and there actually was a submission somebody tried to, and it cut them off. But it recorded that they tried to get on, and so when they contacted us, we said, yeah, we could see the time, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, those are things there that as long as we know. But again, it was a technical assistant thing, and they called the next day and saying, it wouldn't take it, it touched me, I'm looking at it, it says 11:59. And it was midnight that it was shut off, and we didn't realize it when we gave them the instructions, so we accepted the application.
Well, and you guys are the Penobscot County Opioid Settlement Fund experts, but I've done a lot of Google Forms, so if you have any issues in that field, like, you can send people our way, very easy peasy.
Awesome. And we didn't actually, like, obviously the deadline is the deadline, but I don't think that our Google form actually turns off at any point.
It can, if you can turn off accepting responses whenever you want it to. Right.
So just to make sure that we have everybody's in that needs to be in, we will set it appropriately so that there aren't hiccups like that. And then I can also see on the back end, like the timing, like when submit was hit.
Yeah.
So that will also be sure.
Yeah. And we can talk about that at the webinar.
Yes.
Saying that we do have a cutoff date.
Yeah.
And needs to be submitted on time. If not,
right,
it will not be considered. Yeah.
So.
Okay.
We're gonna give people grace, but we're also going to be sure that we are clear about the boundaries.
Right.
What's going on, so. Okay, cool. Let me go back to this. I think that we covered most of what was going on. The only other thing I know, Mackenzie, thank you, between you and Jenna were able to help me out with the policy, the policy 2 template regarding kind of priorities and committee establishment, because I think now that we have the application that's going to go live today, we can refocus over the next 6 weeks in our conversations about making sure that our committees' rules and regs are established well. Thank you very much for that template that we can kind of work through.
Awesome. I'm glad it was usable.
Yeah. I had a hard time finding it first because it kept saying, nope, you need access or it doesn't exist. And it's okay, we got to it. Since creating the template, have you had feedback that from any entities using the template that there are things that we should consider that you're regularly hearing, oh, we needed to change this, that, or the other thing? Or is the template pretty standard still okay?
There is a 37,000 character limit in Google Forms. That is like 20 pages. So, but we did have people run into it because you guys set word limits and people can watch their words in Google Forms, but if you want to physically set the limits, they have to be characters.
Gotcha.
So if you wanted them to not be able to submit more than a certain amount, it has to be by characters, not words. I think that's one little thing to be aware of, but everything else has been pretty straightforward.
Cool. Okay. That is something good to keep in mind that maybe we'll switch next time to a character limit instead of a word limit.
Mhm.
Uh,
I just know that's hard. Like, character limits are like, all right, well, I don't know how many words that is, really.
exactly.
So it's not the most accessible format, but
Right.
otherwise,
Unfortunately,
no.
word
If there
counts
are
usually
any,
have a character count.
if you would like any settings in there to be set that like you could only submit one application per email, like that, those are settings in there that if you want to consider and go adventure, we can. Um, but yeah, otherwise, pretty straightforward.
Okay.
I think you guys did a great job with your application, by the way. I love the question about having people with OUD experience like in the organization or leading the project. I thought that was awesome.
Thank you. We definitely wanted to ensure that we got a robust and detailed snapshot of what was happening with the organizations that we might recommend for award.
Should I share a editable version of the evaluation report with you?
Yes, because I think, well, we do have the rubric, but it's in a Google Sheet, which is good because we do not want to use the weighted one.
Sure.
Just for how we're doing our process of evaluation, the weighted seems to put a little too much emphasis on the cost per person, and not all programs are going to be able to come out well in that. I mean, obviously, if you are a recovery house, the number of people that you are serving and rooms that you're able to fill is going to be different than how many doses of Narcan you're able to give out.
And those are things I have also put into Google Forms for subdivisions, scoring rubrics. That if you guys want to use that as a committee.
We want all the things, Mackenzie, everything you've got.
Perfect. So if you guys want to share, and I'll even, bear with me 1 second while I pull up Oxford County scoring rubric, just so you guys can see like how another subdivision transformed.
Yeah.
One of our templates.
I'm thinking about how, like, logistics of this, with the way that Google Forms work. Obviously, we are going to have more than one person scoring each application. So would each application have its own form that we would have kind of pre-filled with like some of that contact information, yada yada?
The first question can be, which application are you scoring?
Okay.
And then we can like insert some drop down information based on if you want additional stuff in there to identify the application. We can throw that in there as well.
That would be great, just so that we don't have 17 different Google Forms, like one for each application.
Yeah, nope. One form, and you can even see like they have 45 responses. I think there were 5 committee members. So they just went back and forth, and every time they submitted a new form, they told us which application they were scoring.
Okay.
And then can we have for the committee an educational session?
No, figure it out.
Just score.
Yeah.
Red pen.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll have some sort of training session for the committee in regards to how to score it and be able to ask questions. Okay.
Yeah, because even looking at this section that Mackenzie's got up right now, which that was like the first section, right? Yeah, adherence to application, yes, 5 points, but I like when the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Number 1, what does that look like?
Yeah.
Like, what does number 2 look like, so that we can have concrete, like, oh yeah, I know what a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 means.
And Franklin did it that way. Oxford has a separate, we made a separate document for them because they felt that it was just too much in the application.
Yeah, like
sure. Yeah.
And the other piece, will there be somewhere on that scoring to put like an evaluator's note.
Yeah, there should be a comment section after each.
Because
After
sometimes
every
when you
section,
look at
there's a
it
comment.
as a whole and you say, well, how come that scored so low? Yes, you can have some sort of saying, oh, that's why, because I didn't think it was enough, you know, give it, yeah. So just have a small place. Yeah.
And they did a little bit of combining of the two, that they didn't like the way the weighting was set up, but they wanted to give more weight to certain parts of the application. So this is all out of 100 points. They just adjusted those 100 points to be like, you see, 5 points, 10 points,
Gotcha.
20 points.
And that may be something for future rounds that we consider, but I think just trying to keep it as standard as possible for us to score quickly and easily and knowing exactly what those things are.
So if you guys just did the same thing and shared your scoring rubric that you have finalized and want to go with me, I can put that into a Google form and share it back with you. And then I will also make a copy of the evaluation report template just for you guys and share it with you so you can make copies, edit, do whatever you need to do.
Awesome. Thank you. I will be sure to send that over to you after this meeting.
Yeah. And no rush, because 6 weeks is...
We've got time.
I've done a decent handful of these, so the lift is not quite as heavy as when I was just trying to figure it out.
Gotcha.
If that makes sense.
The other thing too is that we'll have to consider, I have not got contacted by the Bangor committee recently and looking at what their timeline is. So we're trying to collaborate with the city of Bangor as well to make sure that likely we're gonna get a lot of the same applicants. And making sure that if we are getting an application and they're getting an application for something, that they know that our application more or less mirrors theirs so that people aren't recreating the wheel for 2 applications for the same thing. Mm-hmm. But we are not both funding the same projects at the same level. If like we could take all of one project or they take all of one project or we go halvesies or whatever it is. That way that we're trying to spread the money around, knowing also that yes, Bangor is the service center and the seat of the county, but there's a heck of a lot more county to cover and other spaces that will need funding too. So,
and it actually works both ways. We may have looked and thought there's a project that we just don't have quite enough money for.
Right.
So if we know that they've applied in both places, you can say we're willing to give you out of $10,000 you asked, we can give you 5, and Bangor you get 5 out of that. So yeah, find ways to be able to do that.
The other thought, and then it left.
We need to meet with backgrounds.
It's funny how that happens.
And Mackenzie, is there a rule, not really a rule, is there some sort of recommended amount of people that should review a grant? Like, does it vary? I mean, it should be 1, 3, 5.
Let me see.
Whatever you want is what that face says.
5 best practices for it says at least 3. And this is just like best practice top search.
3 maybe. 3 maybe.
Yeah.
I think you run into issues if like one application has 3 scores and the other application has 9 scores.
Right. We want to try and keep it even so that the same number of people are scoring every application. That way that the averages aren't.
And that's what once you get your applications in and you're able to make your list and say, oh, Jamie can't score this one, Pat can't score this one, and then you see like the smallest amount of applications that can be scored for any organization is 4. Everybody's scoring 4. We'll make a spin wheel to randomly assign the ones that don't have conflicts of interest.
Right. Gotcha. As far as timeline for other entities, we are getting all the applications, like the applications closed November 15th, and we anticipate being able to make recommendations to the county commissioners by the end of this calendar year.
Mhm.
So roughly 6 weeks. Is that a typical timeline for reviewers to score and be able to get that information back to the deciding entities?
I think that's very reasonable. I've seen it crammed in a lot less because subdivisions were put on timelines for this year that they were like, oh, we got to get our plan together, and then we'll flatten it out and make it smoother next round. But that's a reasonable time frame.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, we just wanted to make sure that if we're giving people a calendar year, because the budget for the county is January 1 to December 31st, that way it all is kind of coinciding. But not knowing that there's 2 holidays and all of that.
Yep.
At least for some of us, others, there might be more different ones, but
Nothing says Thanksgiving dinner than reading grants.
I am thankful I didn't have to write this.
All the children sit around, grandpa's gonna read grants, what do you think? We can probably look at that later, but I'm looking, when do the commissioners meet? In December, if you want them to look.
First and 3rd, isn't it?
It's the 1st and 3rd.
They met today,
So that would be December.
3 and 17.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the goal is, this ambitious goal,
Yes.
is by December 17th.
Yeah.
The list goes to the commissioners.
Yeah.
And we probably need to find out, I don't know, whether commissioners have a requirement that they receive information at that before meeting, like, do they have to receive information a week before the meeting?
Well, I
So we can
sent
ask Wendy that.
Wendy or Marianne,
Okay.
she's the one that packages up all her stuff. I sent the most recent iteration of our application to her on the Monday before this last meeting, and Marianne said it was fine, so they could have that. But
Because I don't know if they had any requirements that had, well, I don't think you're gonna put awardees in advance, well, the council wanted to.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, all right, so we just have to keep that in mind.
Yeah.
If they, in scoring those, okay.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
I think that we've covered pretty much everything that we wanted to cover today, other than I don't think we can truly get into the conversation about updating our committee's policies and procedures.
Yeah.
Because there's not enough of us here to do said things, so we'll have to do that at the next one. So we are set to put up the meeting minutes from September 8th, that's in the report, as well as the application can go up today. All of the fun with that, yay. Not wanting to wait for an answer back from the commissioners and what have you, should we just draft a press release to send out? And like email it to the BDN and the Lincoln paper, just so that, because I get that but this is literally just the notice that it is up and where to find it.
I think that if we got a press release, you could email it to Commissioner Cushing and just say, we're emailing this out.
Yes.
Do you have any concerns about it?
Okay.
Just so that the commissioners are aware that it's going out, so if they're asked questions, they're not saying, I had no idea. So this just gives them, and again, that
Very
was
clear.
very
We
clear.
agreed on this.
We agreed on it. So if there's a press release, I would just say I'd run it, you don't have to run it past all of them, you ran it past Commissioner Cushing as the chair.
As the chair.
Yeah, so that would, yeah.
Sounds good. I will work on that today so that that can get out as soon as possible since.
And if you do that press release to BDN, I don't know if Laura's listening, but I think there's a local Lincoln paper that we probably.
I feel like yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, so again, because this is Penobscot County, I think you should also include them.
Right. Yeah, so. Laura, email one of us if that's the case. And we'll try and get it out to them.
Pretty sure there's a Lincoln. Yeah, but again.
Mackenzie, do you know of any other ways that people are sharing now that this is happening? Like their applications released, or it's just, you know?
County websites and press releases are the main routes.
Yes, Laura said Lincoln News.
Okay, Lincoln News, thank you very much, Laura. Also, I know that the Recovery Council, they did put it out to advocacy groups and to the peer recovery centers.
Yeah.
And so we could do that within Penobscot County.
Yeah.
So they would be aware and tell them to spread the news.
Yeah.
They have a good listserv, they know a lot of people, to be able to do that. As well as, I think we put it out on the Maine Alliance for Substance Abuse and Mental Health Association. They're the trade organization for biggest one, it serves behavioral health. We put it out and asked them to post it on the website.
So yeah, we've got some outlets to make sure that they are aware. The first order of business is to send it over to Marianne to get it up on the website.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure that's who would put it up. I don't know. But our local-
Either Marianne, or if she can't, we can put it on the website.
Okay, I will CC the IT as well. And we'll have a little like side FAQ to come post the webinar next week and any other emails that come in. So cool. Anything else for the good of the order?
I'll send those templates over to you.
Thank you so much.
Kenzie, thank you very
Yes,
much.
we really appreciate you guys.
Of course, literally anytime.
Awesome.
I'll see you guys soon.
Yeah.
Bye.
Right.
Are we,
Thank you.
or she just left?
Thank you, Laura.
But important
Okay.
thing now.
Nope, that's okay. I just, we don't have enough of us to actually solidify a meeting date and time. I did send the Google,
Send it.
for the doodle
Yeah.
poll out, so I will nudge people so that we can have a better idea of when our next meeting time will be.
Okay.
Okay,